Hey, I'm Sal Peer, and welcome to the AI Revolution and Technology Conference.
Everyone, we're talking about how tonight we were scheduled to do a panel discussion on the impact of the AI revolution, the impact of AI onto people's work and their lives. And I'm sure in the last 6 months everyone's figured out that AI is on the rise. We'll talk more about that tonight. Before we get started, I wanted to thank our host, which is NTT Global. And we have Megan Dahlgren, who is the leader of the Experience Center and of strategy for NTT Global. Megan has generously offered up the space for us tonight, also as the sponsor of the food and the drink, so I want to make sure we give Megan thanks for the beautiful facility. For those who don't know me, I'm Keith Koo. I am the managing partner of a company called Guardian Insight Group. We're a technology services company. I'm also the host of Silicon Valley Insider, a radio show here in Silicon Valley. And of course, in the last few months, although artificial intelligence has been around for over 50 years, artificial intelligence today, what most people are hearing about is a form of artificial intelligence called generative AI. So things like ChatGPT, Bard, Bing. How many here have actually tried it out already? Okay, almost everybody. So with that, tonight we're going to talk about the implications of that, but today in this workshop we're going to get hands-on on two aspects of AI. So the generative AI, or LLMs, large language models, that is the ChatGPT and the Bing and the Bard experience. So Bing is by Microsoft, Bard is by Google. And the workshop today is intended for you to get hands-on training with that. Sal's company, Sal Peer, has joined us from Houston. And Sal is the CEO of a company called AI Exosphere. Now back to products and marketing and hype. OpenAI, the parent company of ChatGPT, Sal and his company have been around kind of about the same amount of time. They also came out with products that are proprietary AI language models that sit and partner with other models. And so when we talk about what Sal's going to cover today, which he'll do a much better job than me, on a consumer level, we're going to train you on how to customize your own AI.
Thank you very much for having me. Hello, hello. I've met some of you all already, so it's a pleasure to meet everybody. Let's kind of talk about large language models in general. So everybody here is kind of familiar with ChatGPT. They've used it, and it's very similar to what Keith said, right? They collect a certain amount of data, and then that runs through a machine learning process in order to be able to kind of pull. It works very much like your brain, where you have certain images, certain memories of certain things, and when I say a word like truck, a bunch of things come to your mind from all the associations you made with a truck. Okay, so you might think of a red truck, or you might think of a fire truck, or you might think of a diesel truck, or whatever. And AI does the same thing. It's based on keywords for generative text models, and it will pull and correlate data related to that keyword. And then based on that, it predicts what you want based on the data set that you fed it. Does that make sense? Pretty simple, right? It pulls based on keyword relevance. Same thing for image models. Anybody here use DALL-E or Stable Diffusion or has played around with image models? Okay, same type of deal. There is an image machine learning process that reads. How many people here on Facebook sometimes said something, or Google, and suddenly seen ads for it? Okay, or maybe you haven't. Maybe you just took a selfie, and in the background of the selfie was a laptop, a TV, a table, and chairs, and suddenly you start seeing table ads, chairs ads. That's because there's a computer image model running in the background, and what it does is it identifies these elements as such, and because you might have interest in it, since you're around it, you get ads for it. Okay? Same thing with autonomous driving. Okay, I see Teslas everywhere here. I see, actually, it's the largest population of Tesla I've ever seen in any place I've ever visited. And then I see a lot of these cars driving around with, the self-driving cars. And all they're doing is really collecting data right now. So they know, they can identify what everything is. right? So there's a programmer on the other side of that that's sitting there and going, okay, well, this is a fire hydrant, so avoid fire hydrants. This is a person, so don't hit a person. Early data sets in autonomous driving had real problems because the AI in the data set, the model, the information that was trained on was missing a bunch of different key elements. Like it didn't recognize handicapped people. So when they did tests, the cars would hit people in wheelchairs because they couldn't identify what a wheelchair was, right? So this is the same thing. So you have, in our product, which is Satellite Writer, now you all have access to it. We decided to go, instead of giving our users a single place where they can only generate text, or they can only generate images, or they can only generate audio, we wanted to give access to everything. And it's also important because for you guys that are using ChatGPT or OpenAI for anything, you know that right now they're really backed up. If you put in a response in, it will take a while to get your output, and we'll probably demonstrate that later. It's a hit or miss with them right now. So the idea here is to create unbiased data sets, okay, that represent a fair amount of the majority when producing any type of content. Okay, so what do we want? So for us, our proprietary model is trained on prolific female writers and authors of all different races, because it's important to have all the viewpoints represented in an unbiased data set. Okay, which then gives you also way better content based on what the data set is. Everybody following so far? All right. So what can you do with large language models today that can improve your workflow, that could save you time, that maybe help you start a business, or maybe integrate it into your business to just amplify what you're already doing? It's very available, and it's right now you can implement it today. Most people today use it for novelty purposes. I see ChatGPT, like, let's write an article, or let's put a blog post, or let's put a social media post, or let's make a cool graphic and make it into an NFT and sell it. And the power of AI, and there's a bunch of different processes, and there's a bunch of different large models, and they all do different stuff. So we talked about DALL-E or Stable Diffusion, which is an image model that identifies things in the image and then pixel by pixel builds it based on whatever you tell it. So if I gave an image model, let's say these boards here, and I gave them 1,000 different whiteboards in all different sizes and structures, glass and not glass and paper and whatever, when I tell it, hey, draw me a board, it's going to look at those 1,000 and it's going to pixel by pixel put it together based on your description. You might say a red board that's made out of glass that I can write with chalk on. It will be different than the glass board because of the data set and the examples. This making sense? All right, anybody have any questions so far? No, great. Okay, so when we first started this, we really wanted a proprietary model to be able to have a pronounced and a voice that's authentic to our user base, to what people really like. And now they have AI detectors. So a lot of people that do blogging and say it's going to help with SEO. No, it's not, right? Because Google, Bing, and others have already caught on to it. They're developing this stuff. And they're like, okay, well, now for SEO, we're going to have to add some type of scan to go through the site, see if it's written by AI, and then not give it relevance because there's really nobody there except some model just generating stuff away. So a lot of people that are like, this is the search engine optimization champion. No, it's not. Okay? Something that's kind of unique is because of our Haley data set, a lot of our content won't be identified by AI detectors because of the data set's very different. So for example, Haley might say slang words because we have them in the data set, where ChatGPT wouldn't because it's very structured. So you get very different kind of outputs. And I'll give you an example. Travis here, who's the videographer, came by and I was showing him kind of how we could do stuff. And he records hip hop videos. And he says, well, can we make, I tried ChatGPT to create a songwriter. And I said, but it's very blank and it's It's not the culture, right? So you can take the culture based on the data set, with all the slang words, with everything that you hear today. You can even preload it with songs, different verbs. Just the keywords itself will change. And then you can specify, hey, when you're writing songs, you need to use these specific keywords. You need to use these slang words. And you kind of build this. Now you have a data set, and now you have instructions, and now it actually performs that way because of what you told it to do. All right? And this is where you kind of get an edge, right? And this is where Keith and I were talking about custom models. And custom models is where you give the AI specific input-output examples, and then you can create your own very unique skill that then you can either give to your client base, to your share on your websites, or really just use for yourself to improve your workflow if you're doing tedious tasks every day. So if you're writing articles every day, you can give it examples of your writing styles, and the AI can emulate how you write. And you could be very specific. You could say, well, I want to make sure that you have this type of background, that's part of your background is this. I want to make sure you use these specific keywords. Here's the information about my company, because if anybody asks anything, I want you to be able to represent our company. You could give a subset of instructions. You are not to go away from any topic that's not related to this specific use case or skill. And then the AI will start acting as a writer. For me, it was kind of like, hey, because everybody's using this like a novelty, how do we give it to everyone in a level where it really improves their workflow and their business, and they can implement it very quickly and adapt with what's going on with the AI revolution? Right? And this is where we created the lab. So I'm just going to take you through Satellite Writer real quick, unless anybody has any questions. No? Not yet. Okay, great. I'm doing good explaining. So if you're in Satellite Writer, now you guys all have an account. We've opened up everything for you. Okay? Our platform gives 3-for-1 generation, so every time you ask it to do something, you'll get 3 outputs instead of 1. So you can kind of choose what's the best one for your specific use case. And then the lab, which now all of you should see that lab. The lab icon is very exciting, and I'm going to talk about it in a second. We've built in an editor, which is everybody use Grammarly or Language Tool or any of the grammar. So we've integrated into that. So when you get your results, you'll already have AI recommendations how to improve the content that the AI generated. And we have our archives where all your documents and all your text generations are stored. We have the gallery, which is where your images are stored. Our whole goal with this is really to give every user, with or without knowledge, the ability to use AI not as a novelty, but for real improvement, for real business, and really to improve the dynamics of their workflow and automate a lot of the processes that they do every day. So I'll show you the basic one, and I'm doing this here in order to test out. This is working off of, this is the Chat AI generator, which is directly linked to ChatGPT, okay, with specific instructions from us. And I'm going to just say, tell us about AI. Okay. In Satellite Writer, you have a microphone button. You could talk to it. So right now, it's what's happening is it's making an API call to OpenAI with whatever I wrote in our custom format, and then it will pull that back into our platform. Now, OpenAI is very slow because they have expanded way too fast, and they don't have the resource to support both B2B and B2C, right? Both businesses and consumers at the same time. They're having really high lag time. This was actually pretty quick, so it's a hit or miss. So right now, we basically told it, tell us about AI, and so it did. And with our system, like I said, we have 1, 2, 3 outputs that you could choose from, okay? And right here at the bottom, you'll see it says 213. That's how many words are in this specific article that I just created. The readability score is 27. And the grade level is over high school, so college. And then another cool thing is, anybody ever wrote a book or wrote any type of ebook or put some documentation together? So this is pretty cool because you can have the AI write for you, but instantly with one push of a button, it's loading the audio right now, you'll create an AI voiceover.
Tell us about AI.
To read
AI, or artificial intelligence, refers to the ability of machines to perform.
We're still in the progress of also emulating your own voice in order to create your own audio version of audiobooks, audio ebooks, greetings. I mean, it's boundless possibilities when you get into that territory. So this kind of shows you. Then we have our recommendation skills. I want to hit the screen. Which is skills that work well with other specific skills. In this one, I'm just going to use this. And now it's going to generate also an image for that specific content I created. Yes?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
As you mentioned, accessing ChatGPT it's becoming a slow process.
That's right.
There's overload, so many people.
That's right.
Get it on the site. I came across 2 articles that said they provide the directions on how to install ChatGPT locally. Do you think there's any merit to that?
You cannot install ChatGPT. It's run on OpenAI's servers from Microsoft. You might be able to install some dashboard to access the API, but I mean, it's all on their servers. They don't give their proprietary data sets out. Yes?
So an example of why this is useful is at the 3 generations. First of all, you can read through it yourself and see which one makes the most sense. It's close to your style. But I was using GPT to generate code. And I found 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. So you can try different ones from different models. It generates different, especially on code, 3 different versions of code, and you can take the snippets and try them to find one that actually works. So that's why this is really powerful.
Yeah, also another thing is our system, OpenAI, which is the biggest right now, is strictly OpenAI. You can't access Stable Diffusion from OpenAI. You can't access Eleuther AI. And you can't access a bunch of new models that are coming out regularly through OpenAI. You can access OpenAI models. So, and this is a problem. We had like 1,000 signups when OpenAI was down for a day. Why? Because they couldn't access any AI services. Now imagine building a business or having something that helps you, that you built a skill for using any of these, and then suddenly you can't use it no more? What about if you had paying clients? That'd be pretty mad. So we adopted a mixed model system. I'll give you an example. Here, this style looks very much like DALL-E. So if anybody used OpenAI DALL-E, this is, I believe that's where it made the call because it looks very familiar. But if, let's say OpenAI was busy right now, right? They were down. This would move it to Stable Diffusion and still get you the images. So you're kind of playing on a different level because while everybody else is down, you're still able to generate and still be able to produce. All right? So it's really powerful. Everything is stored in, if it's images, when you guys are in the platform, if it's images, it will be stored in your gallery. And from your gallery, you could share it out. So if you're just, I don't know, you want to share this cute puppy, you can make it public. And then you can share it on social media, you can download it, and you can also share it privately if you want it through email and such. Very easy to do. Also, the same thing for our text. You have files. Here's the file we just created that said talk about AI. And as you can see, it came out perfectly. If I rescan it, there's no recommendations. The audio is right here, so you can replay it, you can download it. And do whatever you want with it, basically. We also have a built-in.
Tell us about AI.
We also have a built-in plagiarism checker. So now with so much AI content coming out, you know, ChatGPT is a very one-trick pony. If you ask it the same thing over and over and over again, it's going to give you almost identical results every time. Okay? When you got 5 billion people using it, guess what? That plagiarism is going to start kicking. Okay? Because it's going to produce, it's the same data set until a new model comes out with a new data set, when then it would reiterate what it originally were. So we addressed this problem. We created what we call GPT-U. And GPT-U means that any of our customers, any of our users can provide their own data set. That means if you're a prolific writer, let's say you're a reporter, or let's say you're Obama and you're writing letters. You're a master at writing letters. Let's say we take those examples and we train an AI, one of our proprietary models, to write like Obama. Now Obama can take this and put it into some website where he's like, hey, pay $20 and you can get my letter writing skill. And the AI, with 500 examples, will be able to closely emulate Obama's writing style. Now just imagine what influencers, what it will do for them. All influencers will suddenly have an AI bunch of skills of the stuff that they're doing right now. What about reporters? What about, it's going to affect every industry. Let's just put it like that.
So right now, these big models, they have a lot of information. So probably all of Obama's speech is already in the public domain for OpenAI.
That's right.
So that doesn't make much sense. But if you're trying to get to a specific subset of your writing, someone's writing that's not general purpose, this is when it becomes useful. So anything that's public domain, you can write something saying, give me a speech on free speech in Obama style. That works now.
Yep.
But if you want to get to a point that you want to take it, I was thinking of taking this a step further and go to singularity. If you have like a dead relative that's a prolific writer, you can pump all his writings, readings, eventually all his audio and video into the process. And then you can like have AI emulate what that person would say.
Absolutely.
So what would my grandfather say about selling this property? How would he think? So you can actually, it becomes
sci-fi. It becomes sci-fi, right?
Super frightening, but super powerful.
Listen, AI is frightening in the level that it's going, but it is a tool, okay? It does not think for itself. It acts on parameters that human beings programmed, okay? This is why there's big talks about regulation and who should have that power and who should not have that power. And I'll tell you, you guys are at the forefront of the opportunity. How many people have been here for the internet boom? Yeah? How many people capitalize on the internet boom? We got one. This is your opportunity to capitalize on the AI boom. It's going to be here, and it's going to be here for a while as new models continue to come out, because the video models are terrible. But they will get really good. They will get so good that you could tell the AI, hey, I want to create a cartoon similar to Pixar with an elephant and a giraffe, and I want you to write a script for it, and the age range is going to be between 5 to 8 years old. That's who you're writing. That's who your audience is. And I want it to be a happy ending story. Or I wanted the Disney formatted story. And the AI will produce it. Not only produce the video footage, the images, the script, but it will also produce the voices. It will produce the whole thing. And then you could go back and watch it and be like, ooh, I hate this video camera. Can you change the camera angle to a different camera angle? And it will do that. Right? Because AI doesn't see like we do. We see in 3 dimensions, right? You look, there's a table here. AI sees in thousands of dimensions. It sees things that we don't see. Right? It's like, okay, well, this has grain, but how many dots are actually here? How many dots does it have to paint to replicate this? That's a question that AI can answer. Okay? A lot more on that, but I'm going to show you something a little bit exciting. So this is the lab. This is kind of my brainchild, which I'm just super excited about, because exactly what I said. I said, you know, I was thinking of our users, and I've seen the way they use it, and I've seen how people use ChatGPT and how people use DALL-E, and I've been doing research for this for a few years. And the big thing is, like, how do I make an AI like me? Or how do I make an AI that will serve a single purpose that I need it to do, but serve my user bases, but not as a novelty? I wanted to improve my workflows. I wanted to answer common questions. I wanted to be a business assistant. And I was like, how do we give that power to our users? And how do we give that power to users that have no technical know-how? Anybody shared a YouTube video? Anybody here? 2 people shared? 3 people shared? Only 3 people shared YouTube videos? 4? Okay. There's this thing called YouTube. It's a video platform. And it has a share button there. And you copy that and share it. And we've done the same thing with the lab. And it's so exciting. We first created a skill wizard for users that absolutely know nothing about AI at all. Okay? It will just walk you through a few simple steps, ask you a few questions, and you're done. The rest of the work happens, the rest of the magic happens behind the curtain on our AI Exo server. We're going to go to the expert mode just because it's simpler and I can show you more. You have little green dots. Those are active and publicly shareable. This means that just like YouTube, I can go into Smart Guidance, for example. I can click Share Via, and boom, I have an input box, just like a YouTube video. I can grab this code right here, stick it on my website today, right now, and users can go and use that, and it will both take their input and give them their output every time. Now, this is kind of cool, pretty exciting. You can, there's just drop downs here. If you have a different color website, you might want to play with the different colors, and it's just drag and drop, so it's very simple, no coding, no know-how, nothing. Who runs a service-based business here? Anybody? You? Okay. What type of business do you run, sir?
I run an outsourced accounting services.
Come up here.
This is our friend Rick Gutierrez.
Hello, Rick.
Hi.
So I'm going to need your assistant to create.
You shouldn't have raised my hand.
You shouldn't have raised my hand.
Sorry, I got his costume on.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm going to put you here. And what would be really useful for your business right now? What part of your business would save you a lot of time and we can automate through AI?
Recognizing revenue recognition for a software company that can do transfer pricing too.
What would that do specific? I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
So a lot of our clients are software companies, right? And
Okay.
they develop some softwares, and then their clients, they bill the clients as to the milestones, and then how do we recognize those revenues? Let's say one of my clients is a $750 million company, over 5 years, generating a software over the air for an automotive company.
Okay.
And they bill Hyundai, Mercedes, Chrysler, and all
So
that.
what would an AI
So
answer?
What they need to know, or we help them with, is when do we bill their client a certain milestone that they've accomplished, right?
Okay, so you would get numbers off of a company, and then you need to identify
Yeah.
when should I bill them based on their revenue.
So we read their contract as to when we can start billing the client.
So it's like a contract analytical type of system.
Which does include an accounting, like an IFRS, where you can only recognize so there's an accounting code for it.
Okay.
Where when you can actually recognize a billing.
I got you. So basically what you would do is get the information from the company, and then
Go to the.
we can create the skill right now, but unless you're giving us proprietary information, we're not going to get it.
No, you're not.
But yes,
Yeah.
it's very possible. So what he's talking about,
When could we bill the client for this?
I got you. So basically what you do is, for his specific skill, I don't want to demo it because I don't have the data to demo it, but basically you would just tell the AI here, you would say this is an accounting,
SOP 97.
yeah, let's just put SOP,
97-2.
It's an old,
okay, accounting SOP, I'm going to put SOP for here just to make it quick for everybody. Here, you see I just wrote, the skill name is accounting SOP. I wrote skill description SOP.
Yeah, revenue recognition.
I'm going to put a thumbs up on it as the icon I'm choosing. And then we're going to choose a model. So we have 3 different models here. Okay, and I'm going to explain those to you so you can kind of understand. Our text AI model, if I go there, it's going to give us instructions for the AI. So in this case, you would say identify where the billable dates are.
Based on the contract, yes.
Then you would put input here. What's the question? When is the billable stuff? And then you would put your output. So your example would go in here.
Okay.
Right? You feed it that data
So like
log.
all the whole contract.
The contract you would put in there, and then here, based on the contract, you build them at a certain time. It was the right time. You would put that here as an example, and then you would tell it, hey, this is the right time to bill. And you give it 2 examples like that. You click save, and it will have that window for you up there where you could copy and paste your data right into it, and it will automatically analyze it. I'm going to do something a little simpler because I don't have your data. I'm going to go into our chat AI, and I'm just going to say,
So I still have to feed the data.
you still have to give it what you want it to analyze, otherwise
So it doesn't
it
go
won't.
to the internet and go to the PwC and says here. Okay.
It has it available to it already.
It's available online.
Up until 2021. That's the cutoff date for most models today.
So Sal, I think what Rick is asking for is what.
Ed, so we'll talk about GPTU in a second. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for coming up. All right, but what he said with the lab, you could do very easily as well. But for him, it might be better to get 500 example of when the right billing cycles were. So then when you ask it, hey, this company here, here's their stats, when should I bill them? Then it would automatically have the correct response because you gave it 500 correct responses and you fine-tuned the model to a point that it recognizes the patterns you're looking for, right? Because it has the knowledge up until 2021, but it doesn't know exactly what you want it to do. Even if you're very specific, the format you want it in, it's not going to be identical to your examples. So I'm just doing something a little simpler just to show the power of this. For you guys that have access to the lab, which should be all of you now, I'm going to put you are a customer service agent for NTT Center. How old is NTT Center?
Over 100 years old.
Perfect.
Well, the center or the company? The company or the
The center. 4 years. So it should be fine. All right, so you are a customer service agent for NTT Center, and I'm going to put you only reply to requests related that are
typo.
yeah, I'll fix all of that are related to NTT. If you do not know the answer, send them to support at nttcenter.com. All right, and you said there was a typo here, over here. Okay.
We've seen job postings for prompt engineers right now.
Change it to experience.
They're going.
Experience Center? We didn't know Experience Center if it's only 4 years old?
The experience, it's already done. A prompt engineer just writing these prompts for example. There must be, but.
All right, this is very quick on the fly. When you create these prompts to give the skill our proprietary models, you're telling it how to behave and what to do and what not to do. Okay, because that's also very important. You don't want to release something that somebody suddenly asks a weird question and then it gives them some weird feedback. All right, the skill is done. It's a small skill, and I'm just going to press next. It's saved, and now we can, Alex, I'm publishing the skill for accounting SOP. We actually changed the name to NTT Customer Service. Okay, so here we're back in our prompt. I know I didn't change the name from accounting SOP, but I did change the prompt, so we can ask it a question about the event center. where do you have event centers? And we're going to generate.
So I approve the skill. If you want to show external access, just reload the playground.
Thank you, sir.
Sure thing.
So, dear customer, thank you for your inquiry. NTT Experience Center is a global company with event centers located. Why am I reading it? I think that's too much work.
Where do you have event centers? Dear customer, thank you for your inquiry. NTT Experience Center is a global company with event centers located in various countries around the world. To provide you with accurate information on the specific locations of our event centers, could you please let us know which country you are interested in? Best regards.
And it will go back and forth with the customer for all the questions that they might have. Yes?
I typed in the prompts, I'll tell you, I'm having fun with this already. Create a pitch for an experience center based in San Francisco for a global technology company.
Sure.
The 3 options were pretty good.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I used a lot of that copy.
So this is a skill now that is approved, right? So if I go back to the lab, press that button. If I go back to my lab now, as you can see, there's a green dot on that counting SOP. That's the actual, I could change the name. Actually, it would reset it, so let me not do it. But now I can grab this embed code, and I can put it on NTT Experience website, and you guys can have a customer service agent now.
Wow.
Okay, this took us 2 seconds. Okay? So if that doesn't blow your mind on what's achievable today, right now, with Satellite Writer, with AI Exosphere, and with what we're doing, I don't know what will. This gives all of you the power right now to develop your own AIs, integrate them into your businesses, integrate them into your workflows. All the skills that you're constantly doing, that you're using, they're your skills. Whether if you're an attorney to analyze legal documents, to figure out, hey, what should I really be looking at, so you can get that information. And all you have to do is feed it some examples. Yes?
So I have a question.
Yeah.
What you've said actually intrigues me. One of my companies is a consulting practice based on a book that I've written.
Okay.
And it is helping large enterprises create software reuse programs.
Okay.
So in the book mentions about investigation, planning, implementation, and monitoring. And so what we do is that we go in, we look at the people issues, the components, and so forth. And part of it is also identifying what's in common in the client's repository. So I was just curious, how can AI, in this case, apply to my service company?
Well, thank you so much for the question. That's actually a great question. What if each one of your sections in your books, you trained a custom AI model with GPTU that we're soon to talk about, and what if it knows everything that you're teaching? And what if that could be an assistant on a paid member area for all your businesses immediately?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You feed my book into the AI.
Absolutely. We could train it on your data set. So it knows exactly what you recommend and what you don't recommend. Then we could go into the lab, choose your proprietary model that nobody else has access to with your data set. You can get an embed code or API access to put on your site now. And it really is that simple. You guys could try it. That's why I gave everybody here lab access. Go ahead and tell the AI what you want it to do. Tell it, tell it what it is. You are a superhero flying around San Francisco, saving women and children from harm and fixing smog in the area. And then you can publish it, and then when you talk to that AI, it will act like a superhero who's saving kids and women and preventing smog. But just think of the practical application in your business. Think of what you can automate. It's literally you create as many assistants as you want. Keith is working on a project I'm not going to disclose it. I'll let him do that. But he was like, how do I do it in multiple different things? Well, guess what? You can create as many skills as you want. We have no restrictions. You go ahead and create 30, 100 skills if you want. Stick them in a member area, and you can charge for it. You can, if you do a bunch of writing, whether it's analytical, or whether it's generative, whether you need things written, or even for images. Maybe you want a Hallmark print to direct to print, and you want to create skills that make greeting cards. You could do that, like that. Yes.
So that's amazing. So I'm not asking for an answer. What I'm looking for is, because all of our contracts are confidential.
Yep.
So I have to create my own proprietary AI to search through all the contractors to, okay, here's when we do it, and then compare it with what's available on the internet where we pay services for, like Deloitte, PwC, EY, saying, okay, here are the things that you could follow up. That's what I'm looking for, because
absolutely,
normally it takes us about a week to get some answers, right? And I was hoping that, that's why Ken is here. He's our kind of like a chat GPT expert, right? And say, okay, this will help us with this whole process. Yep. The simple ones, right? Reconciling an account or bank transaction for 5 years, that I know it can do.
So I think I think your question is very valid. How do you really, first of all, protect your data set from others to use? Yeah. ChatGPT won't do that for you, and as Ed pointed out and Keith pointed out, it goes into their database. So you don't want that, because then another company has your proprietary information and they could train it and use it. It's right there on their website as they wish. We would build a custom model with GPTU, and depending on what specific tasks you need, we would choose an open source model that we could train and facilitate that you own. Not OpenAI, not us. We charge for a processing server. So all the inputs and outputs that correlate, that go through the bias filter, that go through the hard development part of the whole thing, we do for you. Okay? And you would give us examples, of course, contracts such as non-disclosure, it would be hosted on your server. We'd get you a server and connect you to the AI Exosphere to process that for you. But your data will live on a server that you own, not us or anybody else. And this is kind of the power, which transitioned us into GPTU, since we are getting close to that time. Any questions before we move into GPTU about the lab, about this feature, or anything? It's very user-friendly. If you're not an AI expert, you don't need to be. If you're not a developer, you don't need to be. The only thing that we request is any prompts that you share once approved, they must be behind a password-protected area.
And then in terms of transition, we're going to hard stop this workshop at 5. This is really just to get people acquainted with both the lab at GPTU and what the power of AI is. At 5:30, we will then host the panel discussion that we had scheduled earlier. This was really a treat because Sal happened to be in town, so thanks everyone for coming in early for that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. So GPTU. When GPTU is exactly like I said before. It's really the concept of everyone wanting to use AI in order to represent them in some way or another, right? Taking it out of novelty, putting it into the workplace, integrating it into the daily business. Our workflows today are going to drastically change in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, they're already changing now, but in 5 to 10 years, I can't explain. I've been in development of this for almost 3 years, and the amount of new models when we started, it was like, wow, it's so big. It's a 6 billion data point model. Today we have 187 billion data point models and even bigger models that do different things. And just like doing workshops like this, we would go around and teach about AI and how people could use it. And that's where the initial playground came from, was our proprietary data set and model, before GPT-3 or ChatGPT, before that stuff came out. I mean, AI, it is old. It's almost 50-something years old. It's not a young kid. but it was around, just wasn't really usable for every day. Like computers in the 80s or 70s were the size of a room. You know, like not everybody could have one. So when we're talking about this is like, how do we create AI for all, right? So we came up with GPT-U, which is a mixed model system. So you don't have downtime in case one AI doesn't work. And you can make it proprietary based on your own data sets. You know, now you could take whatever your business is, train an AI to do similar tasks to what you're doing every day, train it to a point that it gets so good that's within a little pin drop of what you would actually do. And then you just go over it and make sure it's right and maybe edit a few things to put in your 2 cents. We're sponsored, by the way, by NVIDIA Inception program. We're in the accelerator. We're also in the Microsoft Startup program. And this is really why we have all these resources to be able to put these models up and let people use them. As you can see, even our platform is not very expensive. It's meant, like our company is really focused on making sure that everybody has access to these technology, no matter your station in life. The truth of the matter is, depending on the models that you use, there's a lot of different models out there. It's not just ChatGPT or DALL-E or OpenAI or Luther AI. I mean, there's models that are very specific to very specific tasks. It might be a tiny model. It might be a billion data points, not 187, but it will do your analytical tasks far superior to what 187 billion data point model, because the data itself is different. Now, as far as what can you train, I mean, really with everything, at the end of the day, everything turns into zeros and ones. You know, that's the process at the end of the day. So right now there's image models that you can feed image, and based on the pixels, colors, etc., that it will convert to zeros and ones to understand. It will come up with the patterns of what a cat is or what a dog is or whatever. Video is coming out, right? So new video models are coming out. Same thing, right? So now I must tell you, the file sizes and the training time for video, for example, because it will have to decode the video, identify all the things in the video, transcribe it, it dilutes it until it's trainable. Does that make sense? We have our proprietary model, which is a tiny model. It's like 13 billion data points compared to 187 billion data points. But I tell you, the results are almost identical between the two, except ours is a little bit more concentrated on our use case, which is article and marketing and that type of thing. So I think that you don't have to worry about how big the models are going to be. I think you more have to worry about how fine-tuned is your data set in order to be able to make the AI understand what you want. Your data set is really what you should be focused on refining, and then you choose a model that can adapt and understand the data that you have and is able to deliver the results you want. Not all models will, okay? So don't worry about, I think about, well, what other AI can I expect to see? So you can expect music, you can expect video, you can expect audio, you can expect images, you can expect text, you can expect the transition of all of them into one central AI that you could just say, hey, create me this, and it will. Satellite Writer is kind of the beginning of that, right? We have like 13 models right now on our platform that you can have access to. So I think that you're more like, what do I really need to do? What type of data do I need? And then what's the best option for me as far as cost, as far as output, as far as understanding of the information that you feed it. Our proprietary Haley AI model is on our servers, and OpenAI has no access to any of our information.
Yeah, you can do that right now.
You can do that right now, just to have something that looks nice.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll do a quick example for you. So let's just design business cards with green and white and a dog logo.
If you want to be dynamic, you can be useful.
The key thing is get
No.
the domain name. Early 2000s with presentations with Intel, and you can.
Right, so this concludes our workshop. Thanks everyone for showing up.
Thank you.
We are going to be here till 8:30 because at 5:30 we start our panel discussion. So once again, I want to thank Sal Peer, CEO of AI Exosphere.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And once again, we want to thank NTT, the Experience Center. We want to thank Megan Dahlgren and Vito Mabruco for hosting us today. So.
Yeah. And thank all of you for showing up. All right.